When you think of Rolex, you think of ultimate luxury. You think of billionaires, high-stakes Wall Street brokers, and the absolute peak of capitalist success. But what if I told you that the world's most famous luxury watchmaker isn't actually a luxury company? What if, under the eyes of the law, Rolex is legally classified as a non-profit charity? It sounds impossible. Rolex generates an estimated $10 billion in revenue every single year. Yet, because of a highly secretive legal loophole engineered nearly a century ago, the giant behind the crown pays virtually zero corporate income tax. They don't just sell watches. They have built one of the most brilliant, untouchable financial fortresses in human history. And today, we are going to expose the dark psychology, the tax loopholes, and the brilliant marketing trick that created the Rolex Illusion. To understand how a multi-billion-dollar luxury empire pays no taxes, we have to travel back to 1905. A 24-year-old German orphan named Hans Wilsdorf arrived in London with a wild dream. He wanted to make wristwatches cool. At the time, men only wore pocket watches. Wristwatches were seen as cheap, fragile, feminine toys. Wilsdorf didn't just want to build watches. He wanted to build a brand that represented indestructible precision. In 1908, he created a 5-letter word that was easy to pronounce in any language, looked symmetrical on a clock face, and sounded like a ticking gear. Rolex. Wilsdorf was a genius inventor, but he was an even better marketer. He put a Rolex oyster on the wrist of Mercedes Gleitze as she swam across the English Channel. When she stepped out of the water 10 hours later, the watch was still ticking perfectly. It was front-page news. Rolex became the gold standard of utility. But then, tragedy struck. In 1944, at the height of World War II, Wilsdorf's beloved wife passed away. With no children and no direct heirs to inherit his massive, rapidly growing watch empire, Wilsdorf faced a massive dilemma. How could he protect his life's work from being broken up by greedy governments, inheritance taxes, and future corporate takeovers? He came up with a radical, almost terrifyingly clever solution. In 1945, he established the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation in Geneva, Switzerland. He transferred 100% of his ownership of Rolex directly to this foundation. Under Swiss law, the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation is recognized as a charitable trust. Its official mission? To donate portions of its wealth to social causes, watchmaking schools, and local charities. And because the foundation owns Rolex, the entire corporate ecosystem is shielded. Here is how the loop works. Rolex operates as a private company, making billions. It sends its profits straight up to its owner, the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. Because the foundation is a registered charity, those profits are largely exempt from the heavy corporate taxes that standard businesses have to pay. And the best part? Because it is a private foundation, they are legally required to disclose absolutely nothing to the public. No annual reports, no shareholder meetings, and zero financial transparency. Nobody knows exactly how much they make, where the money goes, or how much actually reaches real charities. While the tax loophole protects their wealth, their marketing strategy protects their prices. Have you ever walked into a Rolex store recently trying to buy a watch? If you have, you probably noticed something bizarre. The shelves are empty. The sales associate will politely tell you there is a wait list that could take 3, 5, or even 10 years. Why? Does Rolex not have enough factory workers? No, it is a calculated psychological trap. Rolex produces an estimated 1 million watches every single year. They could easily manufacture more to meet demand. But if everyone could buy a Rolex, the illusion of exclusivity would shatter instantly. By keeping supply just below demand, Rolex forces you to play a psychological game.
Let's start here. I'd like to build a relationship.
Authorized dealers will often force you to buy thousands of dollars worth of jewelry or lesser-known watch brands just to get allocated a spot on the Rolex waitlist. This is the peak of brand brainwashing. Rolex has convinced consumers that they should feel privileged to spend $10,000 of their own money on a watch. But if the money isn't going to taxes, and only a fraction goes to local Swiss charities, where is the rest of the cash actually going? The foundation isn't just hoarding paper money. They are buying the physical world. The Hans Wilsdorf Foundation has quietly become one of the largest real estate owners in Geneva and across major global capitals. They buy up prime, ultra-expensive commercial buildings on Fifth Avenue in New York, Bond Street in London, and Rue de Rhône in Geneva. By funneling tax-sheltered watch profits into physical real estate, they have built an empire that is completely immune to stock market crashes, recesses, or changing fashion trends. Even if humanity stops wearing watches tomorrow, Rolex will still own the land your favorite shops sit on. Hans Wilsdorf didn't just build a watch brand. He built an immortal, tax-proof cash machine. They sold the world on the idea that a steel watch is the ultimate luxury, while quietly using that obsession to fund one of the largest private real estate empires on the planet, all under the banner of a non-profit charity. The next time you look at the crown on a Rolex dial, remember, you aren't looking at a watch. You are looking at the greatest financial illusion ever created. If you want to unmask the hidden systems behind the world's most powerful brands, hit that subscribe button right now. We'll see you in the next episode.